Hey guys, welcome back to RMA Garage. In this video, we are going to be having to do a repair to my son's YZ250FX 2015. Brakes are done, but we tried to take it apart and we have a bolt that's stuck and stubborn, and we're going to have to back it out with an extractor. So I wanted to make this video to show you guys how we did that, because the first time we had to do this, and yes, it's happened before on another bike. Well, I wanted to show you how we did it. I looked on YouTube and I tried to find a video to remember how I did it, but there are no videos on these bolt extractors, so I figured I'd do one just to show you guys so you guys can learn and avoid the mistakes that I made early on. All right, so let's get to it. What we have here is the retainer bolt for the brake pads. And when we started to get these bikes ready for our big ride this weekend, I noticed that his brake pads were worn and I wanted to get this bolt out. Well, this bolt was frozen, and of course, because it is a socket head, there's an Allen head in there, I used an Allen wrench and I rounded it out. Big mistake. I've actually done this before on my son's YZ125 that we sold, and it took us several hours to come up with a plan, and I'm going to show you that plan, and it only took me 5 minutes. Now, I put the bolt back in. It's not tight, but I wanted to show you the process that I used to extract this bolt. So this is the culprit. This bolt here is what is in the caliper, and as you can see, this is an Allen head socket, and it's fairly deep. I mean, it's sufficient enough, but what happens is these threads get in the water, in the mud, and they get dirty, and I think that they end up freezing in there somehow. And this is what I rounded out. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using these extractors here, and what we do is we take a 1/4-inch drill bit and we drill out the head 1/4 of an inch, and that is exactly what's needed to get this extractor in. And what we'll do is we'll take a hammer and we'll nail it into this socket head, and then use this part. This slides over, and with the ribs in this bolt, one is to hold it from sliding in here, but also this grabs onto it, and we can use a 1/2-inch wrench to extract the bolt. The first thing we have to do is to drill this out. Now again, we are using a 1/4-inch drill bit, and we are drilling right into the socket head. The first time you start drilling it, it will chew out the remaining flat spots in the bolt, and then you drill this back, and I've drilled it back about, I'd have to say about 5/16. I didn't go back to where it gets smaller, but I wanted to get enough depth for that extractor to drive in so it wouldn't slip. So I'm not going to do it, but full disclosure, I've already extracted it, but I wanted to show you. You just drill that out, the shavings are going to fall, you're going to end up cleaning that out so that the shavings don't get in the way when you go to back out the screw. So the next step is going to put the extractor in. So I've positioned the camera just so you can see exactly what's going on. You can see in here that there are no more flat spots on the bolt and that we've drilled it out. So now what we're going to do is take this extractor, and we're basically going to hammer this in. Watch the dirt fall. Okay, so you hammer that extractor in far enough that you feel comfortable, far enough where you feel that it's going to bite hard. Then we take, this is what grabs on, that allows us to use a wrench to back this out. So now you take a 1/2-inch wrench, and again, I had to use a whole lot more force to get this out, but this is how I was able to back this out. So we back it out and all is well. And that's how we take that out. See, that extractor has gone in there and it has grabbed onto that bolt. This was the only extractor that I used that actually gave us success on the first time this happened. So I will post a link below on what these tools are. They're actually made by Rigid, and they're very good, very high quality, and this is how I've gotten socket heads out in the past. In order to replace the brake pads, we have to take the caliper off. So as you can see, here are the brake pads. Not much left on them. All right, so we got our parts here. Of course, we got our brake pads. I always go with OEM just because I know they work and they last long. Everything should fit properly. All right, so this is our original bolt that holds the pads in. Now, I went ahead and bought the OEM pin, but of course, we're dealing with the same socket head and the same situation. And I also bought an extra one of these because these little things are known to strip out right here because it's just a regular flathead screwdriver. None of mine have stripped out, but I bought an extra one just because it was cheap and I was saving on shipping. So this is the Tusk brand caliper bolt. And if you notice, this doesn't have a socket head. It has a regular hex head on top of it. And when you put it up to the original, it's pretty much the same length. It might be a smidge longer or shorter depending on how you want to look at it. But if you look at the threads in the back here, there's way more threads for it to stick out of the caliper and to expose this end. So when you go to take them off, you don't have to deal with the socket head. You can grab a hold of them and use a wrench or a socket, or God forbid, if you round it off, you can use a set of vice grips or channel locks. So I'm kind of debating on using this just because I want to see how it works. If you guys have any experience with these, leave a comment below. I'm actually contemplating going ahead and using that just to see what it's like. We are going to put anti-seize on these threads before we put it on. So that is going to be our new setup for now. We're ready to put the pads in. Okay, and then we're going to hold them in place with the pin. Now the pin, I went ahead and put some anti-seize on the threads, hopefully to give us a better chance of backing this bolt out at a later date. I did also find out that the head on this is 5/16. So that's what you're going to want to use to get this started and to start screwing it in. And we'll finish putting this on. Probably could use a socket, but the wrench was at my fingertips. Plus I don't want to over tighten it this time. Also, I've noticed you won't need that little screw at the end. Alright, so now that's bottoming out. Just going to snug it up, not too much. So that's probably 10-15 pounds, which I think is the torque spec on that bolt. So there we go. All right, so we got it installed. I'll wipe off the rest of that. Give the brakes a little grab here. Pump them back up. Oh yeah, look at that. They're nice and firm now. All right, so this should be, I'm 100% finished. we're ready to go riding this weekend. Hey, I wanted to show you one last thing. Because we live in suburbia and we don't have a lot of property, I have to keep my bike stored in the garage. So as you saw the opening video, time lapse of me moving the trailer out, moving the car out, moving everything around, and giving myself space to work on my bikes. Again, you guys can do this. If you're watching this video and you don't have dirt bikes and you're wondering how you do this, well, I have a 2-car garage and my wife's car sits where I'm standing and my truck sits outside, and we keep the dirt bikes on a trailer. I do have to move things around a lot to work on them during the week. But hey, you know, it only takes a little bit of time. It'll probably take me about 10 minutes to put all this back together again. But if you're contemplating wanting to buy a dirt bike but not sure how to do it, well, go back to some of my earlier videos and I can show you guys how we do things and maybe some of our stories that can inspire you. But hey, anybody can own a dirt bike. You just have to get creative with your space and creative with your time. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys learned something. I know I did the first time I did this on my own, so that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. Shout out to my friend Jim for giving me those extractors to use. A lifesaver, again, appreciate it. I'm probably going to end up buying some for myself eventually though. They're very handy. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to click the bell so you won't miss our next episodes. Hope to have some more riding videos to you soon. There's going to be a demo. KTM and Yamaha are going to be demoing bikes. And we're going to hope to try and cover that with our videos. Not quite sure how we're going to do that yet, but hopefully we'll have some cool content and some trail riding and showing you some of the bikes that we rode and tested and giving our opinions about them. So stay tuned. Hope to have that video out in the next week or two. So appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you soon.